photography. But before we can get into it, we need to first talk about the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a photography composition principle, which is based on an invisible grid of horizontal and vertical lines, which is divided up into 9 parts. And this has 4 focus points for the photographer and viewer at the intersecting points of the lines. Once you master this rule of thirds grid, you can begin to break the rules and play with different perspectives, like one-point perspective, which is something we'll get into in another video. And most cameras have this grid line that you could put on your LCD screen on your camera. But I'm going to be looking at some examples on my phone. This first example I want to talk about is a photo I took of Masumi Max at a Las Vegas studio called Photo Bang Bang. You can see that her head is in the area of the intersecting point on the left side of the vertical line and the diagonal line. And her right bottom heel is near the bottom of the diagonal line. It's not always easy to get the model to pose in this fashion. So sometimes you just kind of have to spot this D line when you're framing your photos, and then ask the model to stop and pose and then take a few snapshots. This next photo was shot at my parents' kitchen in their old house in Pearland. I thought the contrast of the bondage model on top of the kitchen countertop compared to the conservative nature of the rest of the kitchen would be a nice contrast. But again, the model is posed in kind of a diagonal line framing position, which I think comes across very well. This is one of my most famous photos for some reason. And in this next example, it's just kind of flipped. Instead of being in bondage, this model is actually a dominatrix from Dallas named Lady Rain. She's propping herself up with her right arm, and her left boot heel is at the bottom of the frame, at the bottom of the diagonal line. And then in this next example, this photo is of Rubber Doll. We shot this at a bar in Clear Lake several years ago. I don't remember the bar at this point, but the way that she's posing is making a nice D line. The bottom of her right heel is at the bottom of the frame, at the bottom of the D line. And then in this last example, this photo is of Kimber Fox. Kimber's left heel is at the bottom of the frame, at the bottom of the D line. And actually her right leg, which is underneath, kind of makes another diagonal line going in the opposite direction. But again, this is one of my favorite techniques to look for when I'm framing photos, is to look for these lines. One of the reasons why I think it works so well is it makes the photo more dynamic and less stale. There's something more interesting going on visually. And if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. I have some more composition videos coming up focused on high angles and low angle perspectives.